Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm happy that you're here. I thought today would be fun to talk about homeschooling and socialization. Okay, I get this question all the time. Like, oh, your kids are homeschooled? Aren't they gonna be like kind of weird? Are they gonna be socialized? Are they gonna know how to make friends? Are they going to be prepared for the real world? And obviously, they're my kids, so that is a concern of mine too. One of my big fears going into homeschooling was that. And I think it's just because society puts such emphasis on that, because it's kind of like grasping at anything that you can do to look negatively or kind of just to point out like, wow, you're not doing the normal thing. You know, you're not sending your kid to school from 9 to 3 or whatever time kids go to school. And I think it is something that I have worried about in the past, but I think that there are so many pros to homeschooling that something like that doesn't really bother me. To be honest, like my kids, I mean, one is only one. To me, like there are so many ways that you can get your kids out that it's not really that big of a deal to us. Like, it's not something that I even really think about until other people bring up. Like I did say, like going into homeschooling, that's a thought that I had in the back of my head, just because I feel like when you think about homeschool kids, you do think like, oh, they're not going to be normal. They don't know how to carry on a conversation. And honestly, if you've met my 5-year-old, she talks to just about anybody totally fine. You know, she can carry on a conversation with an adult, or she can carry on a conversation with a 2-year-old, and she plays well with kids of all ages. And some things that we do throughout the week to get her around kids at her own age, because I do think it is important for them to spend time with their peers and not just be around me all the time. Trust me, we don't homeschool because I'm like, I want you all to myself. That's not it, okay? There are a million reasons that we homeschool. That's not one of them, okay? I love my kids, but I'm sure they get sick of me just like I get sick of them. Things that we do throughout the week, we go to church. I wouldn't say regularly. I would say probably twice a month we'll go to church. Throughout the week, we do sports first off and foremost, okay? Layla is in gymnastics and soccer is twice a week, and gymnastics is usually twice a week because we do open gym, and then we also do her class. And that alone is quite a bit of time around kids that are her own age. Not to mention, like, I have friends that have children, and we hang out with people, I would say at least once a week. Another thing that we do is she goes to both of the kids. It's not really daycare. At our gym, they offer, it's called the Kids Zone. And the kids go for an hour a day while I work out, and they're around kids there and they hang out. Another thing that we do are co-ops. I'm sure that you've heard of them. We did a nature co-op last year, which was amazing, and we will be back this year again. And then she also did a co-op with our church down the road. And unfortunately, they're not doing it this year, so we won't be there. But the co-ops are super important, and it gets her around kids that are also homeschooled, which I think is important because they have all of like the same struggles of being homeschooled, and they have a lot in common, I'm sure. So we do those things, and she is around people all day. I mean, she goes with me, both of them. I keep saying she, but it's because one is being homeschooled and one is learning for sure, but we don't have a curriculum that we follow with her. It's just like, do your thing and learn with your sister, you know? Even when they are in school, like, they're not supposed to be talking anyway. So, like, they're not there to socialize, you know? I feel like people think, like, oh, if they don't go to public school, they're not going to be socialized. And it's like, well, public school is not for socialization. I mean, it is a big bonus that your kids are around other kids all day, But like when they're in school in their classes, what do you get in trouble for? You get in trouble for socializing. So do you see what I'm saying? Like, yes, it is a concern that I have had in the past, but through we're in first grade right now with Layla. Through a few years of homeschooling, like I've realized that it's really not that big of a deal. And there are even antisocial adults or kids that are in school that aren't social, and it's just their personality. There are so many pros to homeschooling, but I think it far outweighs the one con that I hear constantly of socializing your kids. I went to school with tons of kids that were shy or didn't really like to hang out with other kids, were kind of weird. I was one of them, okay? And my husband, as an adult, did all the sports, went to public school, and he still does not like to go out of his way to make friends. He doesn't like to hang out with people unless I like plan it on my own. He never goes out of his way to do things. So I don't really think that it's just like it checks off the box if you are in public school that you're great at socializing. I think that my kids will do just fine, and I am confident that yours will, and that if this is something that's stopping you from homeschooling, I hope that this video at least gave you some peace of mind or comfort from one mom who homeschools to another, or even parent in general. I think that there are plenty of ways to get your kids around their peers, and I think even if you're not doing something every day of the week, which you don't need to, between their cousins, their siblings, your friends' kids, I think that they will be just fine. You know, there are bigger and better things to worry about. So don't let that be one of them. Don't let that be something that stops you from homeschooling. If you guys have any questions or you think that I should touch on something else, go ahead and comment. Make sure that you subscribe. I would appreciate it.